So just delighted to be here with you all.
Yeah,
Um, yeah, lovely to see fresh faces from the present and the past, and we hope this is of great value to you. Um, Mark, do you want to say a few words to open up?
sure. Gee, it's wonderful to see you all. Thank you for joining us. This is just a topic I love, and looking in this direction that Grace and I share has just really made wonders for my life. But I just wanted to share with everyone. We talked about beautiful feelings that exist within us. We're meant to live in those. We're meant to live lighthearted in happiness and contentment, really. And one of the wonderful directions that this man Sydney Banks gave us when he talked about everyone has self-esteem, were it not for our silly beliefs, really changed things for Grace and I to really see that, gosh, we have a whole lot of time when we're thinking about ourselves and how it really interferes with just really our natural state of living in happiness and joy and love. And just before we got on today, I received an email from a client of mine who was just really grateful. And he was talking about coming home from work very tired, his wife asking him to do help her with some things around the house, and he just really begrudgingly started to do that, and then just really didn't want to help. And all of a sudden, like this is what happens to me. And with this understanding that Grace and I share, he realized his thinking was just creating that mood. And he truly saw it, not like from a strategy he'd been using. He truly saw he was just in thinking that was creating this mood. And so he started to fold clothes. And then his baby woke up and his wife asked him to go, if he would go prepare food for the baby. He went down and started to prepare food. Now he's in what he told me. I'm in a lighthearted feeling. That begrudging kind of thinking left me. I'm in this beautiful lighthearted feeling. So I'm starting to get food ready for the baby, and I look around and I think, oh man, let's clean up the kitchen. And he started to clean up the kitchen, and he had no intention of cleaning that up. But again, in this lighthearted feeling, he was just generous. He was just there to take care of something in the house, you see. And that's it. I wrote back to him and said, that's really the feeling Grace and I point to. That's available to all of us. The more we could lose interest, particularly in thoughts about ourselves. Um, and so it was just, again, another wonderful, I just got into a wonderful feeling of gratitude that we live now at a time where we could understand that we could really understand and take in the truth that we're meant to live in beautiful feelings. That's our true nature. And to begin to realize, not just intellectually know, but realize that truly the thinking we have about ourselves gets in the way of that. And Grace, I just have one more thing to share. I want to hear what you've seen, but I like this image because when I did my graduate work, it was in the prairie provinces, like the Midwest of Canada. And our university, the Red River, which was the river running all throughout the province of Manitoba, in the winter would freeze. And that river ran through our campus, but it froze. So you would see people cross country skiing to classes. I mean, like coming from home and coming down on this river and getting off at the campus. And the only reason I'm sharing this is because you see, if you didn't know science, if you had no sense of nature, when you looked at that frozen river, you couldn't believe or imagine that there was a river flowing underneath that block of ice, that ice. If you had no sense of that, you didn't know this, you didn't learn it in your science classes, you wouldn't believe that. You would just think, oh, this is just frozen. This is just some frozen river all the way down. But really, in nature, there's a flowing river underneath that ice. And I love that image because that block of ice is like our thinking about ourselves. And underneath that thinking is this flowing of beautiful feelings, wisdom, happiness, and love. And it's just that, we've got a block of ice blocking blocking ourselves from seeing it. But once we can realize it, it's easy for us to like drill holes into that ice. Like in those, in the northern provinces there of Canada, people do ice fishing. So we can start dropping into these beautiful feelings. So that image, Grace, just came to mind for me as as I was kind of prepping for us sharing today.
It's perfect. Yeah, it's really perfect. Yeah, we've been looking in this direction together for a couple of years now, and I think that it's just a learning, it's a journey for all of us, lessening thinking about ourselves and just opening up to the beautiful feeling that Mark is talking about. And sometimes we can be in that feeling and want to keep that feeling, not want to lose it. But it's quite natural that we're in it and it goes, and we come back into it and it goes. And so as we look in this direction more of, you know, the feeling of confidence, the feeling of self-esteem, don't be too alarmed if you're not always there. And don't be too hard on yourself if you don't stay there. I spent a lovely week with my mother who was here last week. And I've got to say, I was kind of worried that I was going to drop out of my beautiful feeling because suddenly a family member was showing up. Because I have lots of habitual thinking when it comes to what my mother's going to say, what my mother's going to think. And I just was catching myself during my time with her. I was just catching myself becoming present again and falling into a nice feeling, listening deeply to her. And it really left me having a week of enjoyment.
Mm.
And it left her writing to me and saying, you know, how good she felt and how important that was for her, given that a lot of her time and energy is dedicated to helping with world problems and social problems. So we kind of think we're looking in this direction just for ourselves, but it impacts all of our relationships. And it is not a frivolous thing
Mm.
to want to live in a beautiful feeling. It is not something that that should come after you get everything else done. We have so much impact with people and our clients and our 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 loved ones by first prioritizing um, this lovely feeling of well-being in ourselves. So, we've seen many people, Mark, come through our program and lessen thinking about themselves. And some people go off to do incredible things. One woman wrote to us last time to say that she was buying a camper van, an RV, and she
Oh
was going
yeah,
to
yeah,
travel
yeah. Just
across.
traveling.
Yeah, she's going to travel across America, and now she's decided that in her traveling, she's going to get her business going, and they're going to call it RV gonna make it because they are a couple in the smallest space ever driving across the USA. And that's what I just love about this lessening, thinking about ourselves, because here's this woman trying to come up with a coaching business, and no amount of searching for the right offer, the right thing to do could really replace the wisdom that came to her in a moment of clarity where she had less thinking about herself. And she said, you know what? We're going to buy this camper van, this RV, and actually we're going to make a business as we go on the road. Like, you just can't think that up. But that's the beauty when we're not in lots of self-conscious or worried thinking, we have access to the most inspiring ideas that can move our lives and businesses forward. And I just love that, you know? I just love that. I mean, one of the biggest transformations for me was, and my lovely friend and colleague Steph is here on the call with us, but he was with me when this happened, where, you know, I really dropped out of a level of self-conscious thinking when I came to understand these principles. And what that did for my business was it really skyrocketed my visibility. I had no idea I was hiding as much as I was.
Mm.
But I'd so much thinking about how I would come across, what people would think, what was the right thing to say or not say. And and just exploring this direction, it just really opened me up to far less tension and stressful thinking about getting it right, doing it perfectly. Again, new ideas came through, the ability to show up on camera, the ability to take live interviews and speak with people more as myself, I suppose, rather than uh, as this wall of perfectionism first, you know? So I find this topic exciting, Mark. You never know what you're going to get.
You know, it's beautiful what you're sharing, Grace. Good to be with you again. This is not this is not like a frivolous idea. The power of this is that the words of Sydney Banks is unhappiness is an unnatural state. We're not meant to live there. And so, what Grace and I are pointing to is being able to just be you, this beautiful, nice, living being. Now, I you reminded me, Grace, that it's really also important to see that um, we're pointing in a direction. That's on offer. Every human being, every one of us here can wake up that feeling in us. Um, but, I get lost too. And what I'm grateful for is I know how I got lost. It will occur to me. It was just yesterday. I don't know if people in other countries or in other parts of North America have these big like stores that sell goods at like wholesale prices at cheaper prices, and we were in one um, because our washing machine broke down yesterday morning, so we were out searching for one. And I don't know, I got into this hurried thinking. We gotta get, we gotta get, we gotta get this washing machine and get scheduled somebody who could come in and install it. And I just got in hurried thinking. And we're going around because we could pick up a few other items. And we go by, they usually have books there. And we go by books, and I always love browsing them. And my wife just says, "Hey, look, here's books. You want to browse them?" I said, "No, no, no, I gotta get going." And all of a sudden I realized, man, I'm passing up. It just occurred to me, I'm passing up this section of the store that I love browsing. Oh man, you really got caught up in your thinking. That's what occurs to me now that I've learned and understood the principles that Grace alluded to, that I have been able to generalize thinking these thoughts about myself and how they affect me to other thoughts that affect me, that my thinking really can affect me. And I can wake up to that. In other words, it can occur to me, oh no, there I go again, as it did then. And when that woke up, I really moved easily into a more calmer place. I, it came to me to just quiet down, settle down. And then things came to me. It's going to work out. You and your wife will find some way to get it installed in time. You'll find something today. All of these thoughts of wisdom. And I'm only sharing this with you is because it looks like maybe what we're talking about is unreachable, but it isn't. It's really our natural state. And we can begin to look in the direction of what we kind of innocently do as human beings that gets in the way of this. And and to just be able to reflect on and look into that in that direction. And just, I didn't pass any judgment on myself for getting all caught up in my habitual thinking again, impatience, you know. I just realized it and then it was gone. I just realized it and, it just dropped into, yeah, I just got caught up again. But let's don't stew in that, let's don't. Whereas before this understanding, I would be in self-criticism for a day or so, you see, and that would drop me into um, low mood, troubled feelings. So this is very reachable. And it's just opening up to it. It's trusting that you are beautiful feelings already. Um, and continuing to point yourself in that direction, open to it.
Yeah.
See if it isn't so. Like this client of mine who was had no intention of cleaning the kitchen when his wife first asked him for help. In fact, he was going to try to tell her how right he was, that he worked all day for the family and shouldn't need to do all these chores. You see, he was ready to do that until the understanding surfaced, and he got lighthearted, and then in comes our love as generosity, folding the clothes, helping to get the food ready, and then taking it even further to clean the kitchen. All of that's within our purview, moment to moment. As Grace and I have said, were it not for thinking about ourselves. And so it's just about noticing that, believing that to be true, that you can notice comparing yourself to a friend who is doing better, and that how that comparing takes you away from just having a nice feeling about yourself. So, um, yeah, that's what's on offer. That's what's available in life for all of us.
And I love that. I love that quote, Mark, that you've often shared from Sydney Banks, that we are far nicer than we think we are. That really touched me. I was really like beaten up on myself today. And I was, evaluating my week. And I was just like in this space of just, as you just described, that criticism. And I could feel that it was like, you know, I could feel the beauty of knowing what I was doing to myself.
Yeah.
Wow, was that helpful? To know how we're using thought and when we're using it against ourselves instead of for ourselves. And it really settled me at one point in the day to just be able to see that the way I was using my thinking wasn't helpful. And
Yeah.
then those words came to mind, I really heard Sydney Banks's words, like, you're far nicer than you think you are. Like when you really get the truth of that, it quietens down that level of judgment towards self. And why is that important? Well, there's nothing more important than you living in a beautiful feeling, but particularly a beautiful feeling about yourself, towards yourself. I have some friends who they're not so critical of self, but they're hugely critical of everyone else. And I have compassion, I still see them suffering, So whether it's towards yourself or towards others, um, I think we want to keep Sid's words in mind that we are far nicer than we think we are.
Well, I just love your spirit today, Grace. It's just really touching. And the other piece that is valuable for all of us is in those beautiful feelings is your guidance, is
Yeah.
your wisdom. It that's where um, once I realized that my thinking was of creating impatience, what to do next, that's where it came from. Once I dropped away from that thinking, in came the guidance. So it is valuable to look in this direction because the wisdom to guide you to life, to live happily with others, to find love with other people, peace of mind, enjoy your family. Actually, as you were talking, Grace, this is apropos that we're talking now as we go into the holiday seasons,
Yeah.
and and a lot of people spend time with families, and There's always that myth of family stress and tension. Well, this cures it for you. This gives you the guidance to have understanding for yourself and for the people around you.
Mm, yeah. Yeah. I love that bit about guidance, Mark, because I think I think what we've really witnessed as well through our program is people having dreams and ideas that they want to act on. And there's something, just in the example of that lady who, decided that to buy the RV and travel America, that was a long held idea or a dream for her. And there's something about, when we are in that feeling, we really trust our guidance. It's not that we're separated from guidance the rest of the time, but there's something about a deeper level of trust in our guidance that emerges when we're not lost in all that dialogue about what's going to go wrong or how we can't do it. So we see people acting on dreams, taking action on dreams that they've had. And part of that is because they're just very much in touch with their guidance, you know? Um, and it's really about being able to hear that, turning the volume up on that and turning the volume down on, as most of you know, Bob the drunk guy in our head who's always screaming obscenities and always screaming why we can't do things. I was really amazed recently that I was in all, even this can happen to myself and Mark, like we're still in the human experience, but I was really amazed that I was in so much noise about whether or not to take a trip. And I'd all this worry going on. I could see it was worry. I could feel it was Bob in my head, but I was very much seduced by the feeling of worry. And the worry was, well, you've just been unwell for a while. So if you take this trip, what if you can't keep up with the events that you have to attend? And what if you like, what if you don't have a good time? And what if this isn't the right trip and you should take this other trip? You wouldn't believe it, but I had three invites to three different trips in one go. And instead of being in a feeling of gratitude that people wanted to take me places, I was innocently lost in this worry about my well-being. Innocently lost. And I had to make a little bit of a conscious effort to just settle down a bit, quieten down a bit. And the guidance that came to me was it doesn't matter which of these you choose, they'll all be good. Just go. So I chose the one that was really the path of least resistance and the closest to me. And I had the most incredible time in Sicily. And what I really want to share about that is that all that worrying about well-being dropped away when I was present to that trip. I had an abundance of energy. And so often we are exhausting ourselves and feeling exhausted because we're living in a level of innocent mental noise called worry, futurizing, evaluating. We're just way out there instead of right here where the guidance is. And so my trip taught me that, you know, you can be in a beautiful feeling anywhere. It's not the destination. and you always know what you want to do next. But for the silly beliefs, as Sydney Banks said, but for these silly beliefs that we've learned to pay a lot of attention to. Mark and I always hope to create a space like this where we get beyond silly beliefs that are limiting us. However, our guidance is present. Our guidance is there. And our guidance, when awakened like that, allows us to act on our dreams. So I'm still relishing in that feeling from from there, Mark.
Well, should we check in with one or two people?
Yeah, I'd
See if
love
there's
to.
any questions that anyone has.
Questions or comments or yeah, what more to life would look like for you. Linda, lovely. Please come on.
Hello. Hi, Grace. Hi, Mark.
Hi. Hi, Linda.
Yeah, I have maybe a two-part question. Or yeah, the other day, I signed up for a 30-day audio thing last month, and I listened to the first four or five audios. It wasn't principle space, but it was, I don't know, I'm kind of looking for a bigger space to kind of play in. And the audios were kind of like, it was almost too much of a beautiful feeling. It was
Mm.
like, I don't know. That's what I'm curious about. Like, is there too much of a beautiful feeling? Because what happened was I stopped listening. It was
Mm.
almost like it was so beautiful that I wasn't allowing myself to take that in. And so that's the first part. And the second part is I didn't listen to the end. And at the beginning of October, I'm like, I got to catch up because she's going to take him away. And she took him away and I didn't listen. And so now I'm like, I see what I'm doing and I don't last long in it, but I'm like, "Ugh," so mad at myself. So help. Yeah, I'm just curious about if there's too much of a, like what was going on there. And then second of all, like I also like I have this so much lately, like I don't want to resistance, even if so it's a little bit of that, like maybe I don't want to feel this good feeling. And then also like, this is a question of like the resistance that gets in the way of the dream, which I guess is just beliefs and thoughts I'm telling myself about what I want to or don't want to do. Does that make sense? Because I think
Hmm.
I'm in there.
Well, I think it's just quite natural to have a reaction like you had. Like I attended many of Sydney Banks, who's a very spiritual teacher, his seminars. And at times I couldn't take anymore.
Mm,
It was just so, so beautiful, but beyond my grasp, huh? Beyond my
mm,
grasp.
mm,
And so it was like just too much. Um, so I think, it may even be like what we pointed to, your own guidance is telling you it's a bit much right now. You may know it may be a way to look at how ready you are to hear so much, or how much beauty you want to take in. Um, so I think that's important to listen to. It may be that you want to just nurture a level that you're comfortable with. See, you nurture the level you're comfortable with, and that takes care of it. That takes care of it for you.
mm,
Um, but in terms of Is there too much beauty there? It's a tough one because
Mm,
there's endless love and understanding that we can discover. Uh, and so you just live with what you are comfortable with. Like if I get on like, oh man, there's limitless love and understanding. Oh man, I better go find some more. I get urgent with that, instead of just being happy with what I've been able to take in.
mhm,
So that's the first piece, you see. Just be comfortable with what you can take in and nurture that, meaning like stay with that, welcome that into your life. Keep bringing yourself back to that when you get a little caught up. But really, what you want to just be wondering about, I mean, in the sense of wonder and awe, is that it's endless.
mm,
It's endless how deeper you can go in discovery of love and understanding. Because that's what we are. That's what all human beings are a part of, an energy we would call love. Um, so that's what I'd like to share with you, Linda. And I forgot what you asked, the second part of what you asked, because I think that's really, I just kind of, I lost my thinking in trying to share this answer with you. So I didn't get the second part of that.
Well, that's kind you answered it because I was if I had to say myself that I would have said the same thing. It was just like unable to handle it as much as I wanted to. Like my different parts or whatever wanted that information. I could only apparently handle it up to day 5. So that was my guidance taking care of me in a way. I said, is that what you're saying? Like,
That's what I'm saying.
right.
And that if you got up to whatever 5 was, you
Mm,
just want to live in that.
okay.
You don't want to think of where you can't go or that. I mean, you're just knowing that that's enough.
Hmm.
My goodness, if so many people, if people in the world could just honor when they hear that's enough, uh, you know, you'd be, people would be at peace. So that's what I'm saying, and, but you then have to appreciate, you have to also appreciate finding something to step 5 or whatever that was, you see,
Mm,
and live there
okay.
and just live there. Because again, thinking gets in the way. Oh, I should be able to, or why is this too much for me? Rather than, wow, I just need to appreciate I've got to step 5 and I want to live there, live in that. That's what I'm saying. I'm talking too much about it, but that's what I'm saying, Linda.
It's helping a lot. It's helping a lot. Thank you, Mark. Yeah.
And it also reminds me, Linda, of I think Sydney Banks said something like, once you touch a beautiful feeling, throw the tape out the window.
Yes, I
Yeah,
have to
you
remember
did.
that.
Yeah.
Okay.
And like that's incredible. That's what you're doing. That's what your guidance is leading you to. And but for the silly belief that we need to complete the 30-day program in order to get our needs met, you got it. I mean, I'm sure many people have listened for 30 days and never touched that space you touched.
Mm,
So again, it's like, let's be invited to really trust our guidance and not make ourselves wrong just because we're going against the path or the predestined path that we're told we should be following to get this complete.
right. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you,
We've
Grace.
I think that's one of the habits of thought, Mark. I don't know if you agree with this, but I think it's one of the habits of thought that I see we innocently suffer most. The idea that we're getting life wrong, the idea that we're doing it wrong. And it's just such a beautiful example, Linda, that you shared, because even when it comes to a 30-day program we have purchased that we would like to enjoy, even that we're maybe we're getting this wrong. So we want to get suspicious of these beliefs, you know? We want to get, I mean, look how incredible that you were able to touch that space at all, you know?
Yeah.
So, Grace, there's another Linda here with her hand up.
Yeah, let's go there. Hi, Linda. And then we have Marina.
Hi,
Hi.
my question is, I was just wondering if each of you could share what is the easiest way for you to get out of the feelings about yourself, and so stop thinking about yourself and more into those good feelings. I tend to use gratitude, but in my sometimes that doesn't always work for me. So I was just wondering if there's like something like a touch point that you use often to move out of that thinking about yourself and into that good feeling. Thank you.
Good question.
Well, Linda, this is like the heart of Grace and our sharing with people in the program.
Mhm.
When you truly get like a realization, it really like at an insight level that you really see the truth that our thinking about ourselves is keeping us from a nice feeling. You've got it. And we kind of can go beyond strategies uh, and trust that that understanding will occur to us. That's how I live with this. Because, like you said, there are strategies, there are things you could actually practice. But, like you said, they're not working 24/7. But how it works for me is like I shared with yesterday's example, shopping with my wife. All of a sudden, what I've realized about thinking about myself came to mind.
Mhm.
I see it in a way that it's a gift. This energy we're all a part of, this intelligence behind us, gave me that understanding once again. Because I didn't do it. I'm in impatience. Mark Howard didn't do it. And even if I had a card in front of me that says, stop thinking this way, I couldn't use it because I was truly I was believing my thinking in a way, just to kind of describe it. But we have this beautiful, I don't know what, this beautiful connection to the intelligence in life, truly, that will bring us what we've learned. It will, it'll show up for you. Now, I went a ways impatient. I went a ways in the store in it. Um, and then all of a sudden, I realized, oh man, there I go again. And so, what Grace and I share is helping people really gain trust and faith that what you've realized will occur to you. It will be given to you. You'll see it once again. Um, Now, of course, there are things, even Sydney Banks shared some practical things like, don't look at negative thoughts. Look at positive thoughts. That's what he shared. Don't look at negative thoughts. Look at positive thoughts. But like you've shared, Linda, to pull that off, at times it works, at times it fails. But if you just trust that, you'll see that you got caught up once again. And when you truly see it that way, you're free of it. And in comes the feelings you need and the wisdom you need to go forward.
Yeah. It's like our learning really supports us, Linda. And it happens in the moment. So like in the case of today, when I'm lost in this level of self-criticism, it's not that self-criticism and self-evaluation totally goes away. But my learning supports me because I know I know what's occurring. I know that I'm using my thinking against myself right now. And what that does, just having that knowing, it's like putting a light on in a dark room. It that negative feeling and those negative evaluations of self, they just cannot be sustained. If I don't know how I'm using my thinking and I have no interest in living at a higher level of well-being, then I'm probably going to be living in that self-criticism for the rest of the week, not just Monday. You know? So our learning, and again, this is what Mark and I want to point to, and I'll share the link to our course, friends, in the chat box now for you all. But this is what our course points to, is really helping us live more in that beautiful feeling. And that doesn't require a strategy of gratitude. We just naturally end up feeling more of that grateful feeling in our day-to-day life. Um, we're really exploring getting beyond silly beliefs we have about ourselves. And they're just learned. They're just learned. But incrementally, we see our shifts. Something that might have taken us down for weeks or months doesn't have that power anymore. All because we're catching what's occurring. It's almost like to the intellect and to Bob, the drunk guy in your head, it's like, no, that's too easy. Give me something more difficult to do. But our learning and our grounding really protects us and supports us as we navigate life's challenges and as we navigate any criticism towards self. I wish we could
Real,
put this up as a beauty product. Sorry, Mark, what were you going to say?
well, just real quickly before going to Marina. Now, it's nice to know gratitude is a place to live. I love that. And uh, in what Grace is saying is when our knowing occurs, we'll see gratitude. If gratitude is something we've really loved living in and we really see as something that is a saving grace for us, that will be part of our knowing. And it came out yesterday walking to the car from the warehouse. I just fell into gratitude for uh, my wife reminding me of where to look. See? So it will be there for you if you love uh, living in this space of gratitude. It will come to you. So that's another beautiful thing. You don't have to give up directing yourself toward gratitude. It'll just be there as you remember, oh my God, there I go again in my thinking.
Mm.
Marina,
Hi.
hi.
So about 3 weeks ago, I was thrown into a really challenging situation, like really challenging, but specifically for me. I mean, maybe for other people it might not be, but and I've been navigating this, and it looks like it might end up with lawyers and all sorts of things. And hmm, I go through moments where there is this space, and then I'm finding myself every night like going to bed and then waking up at like 4 o'clock in the morning and in a mild panic and not being able to go back to sleep again. And it's been recurring for the last 3 weeks.
Mm.
And so it's compounding itself because I'm absolutely shattered. And at the same time, there's this part of me which is, you were talking about kindness, and there's a point to this experience where I have been really kind to the other party, but it comes to a point I'm feeling where it's not that kindness has to stop, but that they are not being particularly kind. In other words, they're not coming to the table, they're not actually they're completely ignoring the communication. So it's almost like I'm left with a non-choice to have to kind of get their attention. I don't know. I'm just kind of in that space of how do you, it's not even how to, but it's navigating this where the other party doesn't even want to come to the table, and yet I don't want to have to go down the legal route, but it's almost like they give me no choice. And then there's this piece around, well, if I'm really kind, then I wouldn't. So anyway, I'm kind of in all of that at the moment. And you can probably hear a lot of thinking around it too. Actually, yeah. So
You just heard that.
I
Isn't
did.
isn't that amazing? You just heard. See, we underestimate what seeing that or hearing that can do to help our situation.
Hmm.
Well, I think the kindness too, you should give a lot of that to yourself.
Yeah.
You could have understanding for the fact that these other people, the other party, might be caught up in, I don't know, self-righteous thinking. Who knows what they're caught up in? And it's nice that you could find some kindness for them, but you also want to give yourself kindness and understanding, that it is a difficult situation. You have the power of thought to see this is a difficult situation and also see that there's a lack of cooperation. Um, but the quieter you can be, um, the more you're going to see what feels right to you, and what steps to take that will take care of you. And
So interesting that you bring that up because I just was reminded that yesterday I was in the kitchen and I just heard honor yourself. And
mm,
so you pointing back to that is really, really helpful because it just reminded me that actually this is really about honoring what I desire and seeing, and it's okay to see injustice in the world and speak it out. And yeah, that doesn't mean I'm being mean. It just means that I'm honoring what I want, and taking action from that place.
Yeah.
oh, that's beautiful. That's beautiful. You got it. So stay there. You know, stay with that feeling of honoring yourself. And, this gift we have of thought is really a gift to see what's in front of us. And sometimes that gift of thought helps us see that there's something harmful in front of us, that there is a wrong. Uh, you know, so that's important to begin to value that you're given a way to see life through what we call thought, and at times you'll see that there are wrongdoings there. But you really awakened to honoring yourself, and you just want to nurture that, water that, give it fertilizer, stay within that feeling. If you drift, come back to that. And all of a sudden, you're going to start to hear the guidance. That's beautiful.
Thank you for that reminder. I'd forgotten that honoring yourself is to hear the guidance, actually. It really is that. And I had kind of forgotten that I that I could actually do that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
So
Great,
thank you.
Marina.
Thank you, Marina. Well, everybody, we hope we've given you a lovely space here, and maybe some of you are going to want to go and nap now. But that's okay. That's a nice sign of just a mind that's settling down. If you feel a little sleepy, it's all good. We would love to invite you to go deeper into this conversation with us. And just around the corner on October 16th, we will have the next round of our More to Life Than Thinking About Yourself online program. And it'll run for 4 weeks. And right now there's an early bird offer. So you can join us until October 10th for £97. And we encourage you to get in on that if this is speaking to you. We probably will have to limit our spaces to about 20 or so. So it's the first 20 people will be with us. So if it speaks to you, check it out. Or if you want to write to myself or Mark, you can get in touch. Most of you have our email at this point. And we just really look forward to seeing you there. Mark, have you any final comments?
Well, this was just magical and really nice to see all of you, and your respect for letting Grace and I share this understanding with you. And look, it'd be great to see some of you in our program. It'd be beautiful to share more with you and actually discover more understanding. So thank you all.
Thanks. Lots of love, everybody. Bye.
Bye.